Hey everybody, so I just want to talk a little bit about bone broth. And for many years I really was into the whole raw food, vegan, vegetarian, and we're talking many years, and I would just, like, that was my whole life. I had so much attention to what I was eating and food preparation and all this stuff, okay? And it was a period in my life where it was exciting. I learned a lot of really cool information. I helped a lot of people with their health and their wellness, and it really worked, okay? And then there became a period where it didn't work. And what I mean by that was I had a car accident, and I was not able to stand. I was not able to get to the stores and all the varieties of places that I would go to get all that fresh food all the time. I didn't, with a broken ankle and a broken leg, I couldn't drive. I wasn't able to walk or stand. There was a period of me really relying on people for a great portion, and me trying to make other people instantly get my idea of what health and wellness was, to me, was absolutely failed venture. Like, I just, I was beating my head against a wall. And I had to surrender that during that period, I wasn't going to eat the way that I wanted, that I was going to have to eat mainstream because that's what my family was able to provide, and that was it. And man, my ego was really wrestling in this period. And I gained a lot of weight because I wasn't moving, because I had a broken leg and a broken ankle, and I wasn't eating the kind of pure foods that I wanted to eat because I couldn't drive and get to the places that I wanted to get to. This was way before all this, like, personalized delivery services and all these things that we come to rely on today, but that wasn't available then. So I really was down and out for the count. I was relying on other people, and honestly, I felt really like not myself, because I'm now ingesting all these foods that I wouldn't have normally eaten. But it was like I was just part of the, quote, family tribe, and whatever they were eating, and I was eating family style. And I gotta tell you, like I said, I did not like putting on all the weight. I did not like the way that it made me feel, and I wasn't really happy about it in comparison to how I normally lived. But at the same time, it was that season and that period in my life, okay? Fast forward, I get, I recover from that period. I get, the ability to walk again, and dealing with my injuries in a new way. I start teaching yoga, Pilates, and fitness again, and I'm really pushing myself really hard. And then there's a period of several years where, again, I'm going back to my old way of eating all these greens and salads and whole fruits and vegetables. And again, like, I felt amazing. It took a tremendous amount of, daily grocery shopping and food preparation, and a lot of money to buy all those foods at that level, at that price range. And again, I was making a lot of money as an instructor, as a teacher, and I could afford to go to Whole Foods and, Mom's Organic and, all those, nature's food stores and all that stuff. But the bottom line is, at some point, my body was still not getting enough, and I didn't understand what was going on at the time. Originally, I was just frustrated. I was trying all these different things. I was going to all these different doctors. Nobody understood what was going on. And the bottom line is, I was basically on a leash, being pulled this way and that way. I felt like a rubber band in all these different directions. And, there just comes a time when you're just frustrated. You're frustrated that all these things, the doctors don't really know what's going on. I'm losing motor functions. I'm losing brain memory. I'm, not able to do the physical things that I was able to do before. The brain and body connection was not connecting, and I had no idea what was going on. I'm thinking, I've been healthy all this time. I've been eating all these pure foods. Why now? Why all of a sudden am I not able to do these things? So, like I said, it's been a journey, okay? And then at some point, during this journey, okay, and it's like I said, it's been over several years. I've tried many, many things, and over this particular portion, I started practicing Shabbat, which is Friday night to Saturday night, as sundown to sundown, practicing Shabbat, and really getting in the Word, getting in the Bible, having a personal relationship with God, and really going out of my way to cultivate that relationship by reading the Bible, by listening to, worshiping with Him with music, and watching particular programs, and following certain channels, and reading certain books that were, developing my personal relationship with God in the Word, okay? And somewhere in there, I went back to Genesis, and I forget the verse, but it's somewhere, I think it's Genesis 3 somewhere, where it's like, God gave every seed-bearing seed that is for food, it is for meat. And I remember, like, I based my whole, like, eating strategy as a vegetarian, as a vegan, as a raw fooder, on that verse, and on verses that supported that verse. And I did that for a long time, but like I said, at this point, it's like I'm eating those foods, but it's not fulfilling me, and there's something missing. And then I'm like, I read something else about, the unclean and the clean, laws about kosher food and unclean food and clean food. And I start reading them about the different types of meat, and I'm thinking, like, most of these meats and fish and whatever, I just didn't have any of them in my diet because I was just eating the fruits and vegetables. And I thought, well, maybe is that part of the missing component, And I really didn't want to eat it, but I started on a journey of, just on Friday nights, I started to eat meat, or I started to eat fish, started to eat chicken. And on those nights when I just did once a week, I'd have a portion of meat, I started to feel better. And I, like I said, it wasn't the journey that I had imagined. It wasn't the journey that I was, like, actually looking to do that, because I'd spent all those years, like, doing all the fake meats and, the fake proteins and the protein shakes and all that stuff. But then it was like, I was like, all right, I'm going to listen to what the Bible says. I'm going to start eating some of these things that are, quote, clean food, that God says eat these things. And I'm going to do it on Shabbat, on Friday night and Saturday. So I started to feel better. And like I said, it was a weird thing for me, because even the texture of these foods that were not vegetarian for me was, like, uncomfortable at first. It really was an uncomfortable process for me. It also resulted in constipation because my body was kind of rejecting it as well. But I went through that phase, and again, my body started to fill out in a different way than what it was before. And again, it was like, I'm looking at myself in the mirror going, like, is this like me? Like, this is a totally different look or version of me. But I went with it, and I kept listening to, being guided by God and what I felt like I was being led to do. So here I am with my bone broth. And, like, I have, like, a thermos, and I'll put in this bone broth powder and add hot water to it. And sometimes I just drink the bone broth like that. Other times I might add onions or, pieces of chicken or whatever, depending on what I'm doing, where I'm going, etc. And all I'm getting at is that it's a process, okay? And I don't know exactly what God has in store for me. I'm just listening one day at a time as I'm guided. There are times when I stray away and I'm like, I don't really feel like drinking this bone broth today, Lord. Like, I really want something sweet. And, and then I'll go have that lemon square because, it looks very appealing. And afterwards, it's like, was that lemon square really worth it? And then I pick up the bone broth again, and I sip it again, and then it's like my body feels better. So what I'm saying is, a lot of times we look at the visual things of food, or the sugar, hike that we feel from food, and we want it because it looks good or it tastes good, but maybe it's not really good for our body. So I just encourage you, as you are in your food journey, that again, you let God guide you. You let Jesus and His Word, the Bible, lead you into what feels right, and what God's asking you to do, and meaning that there are times when what feels right is against what you want to do, you know? And sometimes we have to be uncomfortable in what doesn't feel right so that we get to the point of that particular thing feeling right that didn't feel right before, so that the body starts to crave things that are actually healthy for us instead of things that are actually not really good for us. So anyway, I hope that that helps for somebody that's out there. I'm not saying that, you know, bone broth is the thing for you. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, like, in my journey of me listening to the Holy Spirit, of me listening to who God is, and how I'm being encouraged to do certain things in my diet and incorporate things and let go of other things on my journey. And this is something that, you know, is part of my process. And like I said, being a prior fruitarian, raw foodist, you know, vegan, you know, only eating whole fruits and vegetables, and then all of a sudden eating bone broth and eating chicken and eating salmon and, you know, eating red meat. I'm just saying it was a huge shock to my system. Okay. But what I'm saying is there seems to be a balance that's going on now, not just with the food, but in terms of like my brain feeling like it's being repaired as well. And so if you have any food stories that you would like to share about something that you did before and what you're not doing now, or some product that you is really making a difference in your life. And I'm not talking about like pitching all these pills or something. I'm just saying like food, like actual food, you know, not supplements. This is not a conversation of supplements. I'm talking about actual food that you found in your journey that's really helping you to feel more alive, and that is in alignment with what the Bible encourages us to do in terms of like clean and unclean food. I'd like to hear your comments and add them below. Again, have a great afternoon, and I look forward to talking to you soon.